Hello and welcome to this special edition of Straight Talk from Berlin. As Türkiye gears up towards one of its most important elections in a generation, I'll meet with members from the Turkish-German community who'll have a say in picking the country's next president and parliament. So join me as I find out what this major voting bloc is thinking ahead of the May 14 ballot. Türkiye is at a crossroads awaiting its most crucial presidential vote in recent memory. While the election campaign is in full swing back in Türkiye, voting has already started abroad for Turkish citizens. Of the over 3 million eligible voters living abroad, 1.5 million live here in Germany, making them a crucial voting bloc. But how did such a community arise, and what has driven their voting habits? Germany, home to the largest Turkish diaspora, will naturally have the largest overseas voting base as well. But how do you organize a vote for millions of citizens living abroad who want to cast their ballot in an election that is taking place thousands of kilometers away? To get a better understanding of the whole process, I spoke with Turkey's Consul General in Berlin, Mr. Olgun Yucekok. He told me about the scale of this year's vote and the challenges in making sure everything ran smoothly, securely, and on time. Mr. Consul General, thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk. Can you walk us through the logistics of organizing votes for Turkish citizens living abroad, especially in a country that is home to the largest Turkish community outside of Türkiye?
Yes, welcome to Berlin. As you mentioned, the largest Turkish community living outside Turkey resides here in Germany. We have 3.4 million voters across the globe, and 1.5 million of voters are living here in Germany. Our 14 consulate generals and 3 honorary consulates are in charge of organizing elections. And at 17 polling stations, we are continuing our election process. Today is the 9th day. Everything is going smoothly. And with the help of our relevant authorities, we made a very complicated but well-organized logistics process, and all voting envelopes, papers, necessary equipments are distributed to the relevant stations. And at the Foreign Ministry in Ankara, we have a coordination center especially established to monitor the election process.
So everything looks fine.
Yes,
so far.
It's sixth elections organized abroad, so everything goes smooth.
But we're talking about 1.5 million people who are eligible to vote. So what are the challenges of organizing the votes and getting them back to Türkiye?
Well, actually, if you have a vast amount of votes to carry, the High Council of Elections is organizing 3 separate charter flights to go to certain centers, and we are uniting the voting bags, and with the presence of the representatives of political parties and also High Council of Elections, these bags of diplomatic cargo bags of votes are carried back to Ankara. From smaller polling stations with a limited number of voters, we will have a diplomatic courier network, and everything is very well planned and organized to the latest detail, to the as much as possible. Detailed plans are implemented.
Yes.
So we are doing it like that.
So how have German authorities been cooperating with you in organizing the voting or the polling stations?
Well, German authorities are in charge of the security of the perimeters of the diplomatic missions as host country. So at 14 consulate generals and at other polling stations. In some consulate generals, we don't have enough space, so we had to rent specific buildings or areas to organize elections. So these areas, security, outside security, is guaranteed by German authorities. We are a little bit surprised, I might say, because initially we were planning to have more polling stations, but at last minute, 9 of them are not approved by German authorities. So we had to modify our plans and we had to increase the capacity of existing polling stations.
So how has voter turnout been so far?
Well, compared with previous elections, I might say that there is a considerable increase of interest by our citizens. For Berlin, for instance, we are today is the 9th day. We will pass the 50,000 threshold today, most probably, and 500,000 threshold, most probably, for the whole Germany. And I cannot say an exact figure, but there is a considerable increase of interest of our citizens. Each and every year, the level of participation to the elections is increasing.
Why do you think it is happening like that? Why are you seeing more enthusiasm when compared to past elections?
Well, actually, it's the 100th anniversary of our republic. Turkey is a very fast advancing, growing country, and our community living abroad has very strong ties with their motherland. I mean, it is a motivation of voting, and especially young voters are added, yes, to the equation. Only in Berlin we registered over 5,000 new voters, and I'm happy to see that the young generation of Turks living abroad, they are showing their interest to participate into the democratic process.
All right, Mr. Consul General, thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
You. I'm at one of the biggest polling stations for Turkish citizens in all of Germany. Nearly 50,000 have already cast their ballots here since voting began on April 27th. As you can see behind me, there is a wide range of voters. But what has many surprised is the growing number of young people exercising their democratic rights far from home. And it's not just young people who are showing enthusiasm towards this year's election. Hakan Yazanel, who has been living in Germany for 25 years, runs a string of businesses that help connect Türkiye and Europe. I asked about his experiences living in Germany as a Turkish citizen and his thoughts on the election.
In these elections, I living 25 years here in Germany, but our heart is in Turkey, our family is in Turkey, and we think about we all go back to Turkey to live there. And for us, is this one the election, and Now the politics, what the European Union or the German politics, they take to us. They take every time you are the third here in Germany or the fourth generation here or the third generation, and you don't live here, you don't integrate it here, you must go back.
Many other voters were also enthusiastic about this year's election and knew how crucial it would be.
Tabii ki farklı.
This election is of course different. At this election, no matter who they are, people young and old come and cast their votes at the ballot boxes. This is an important choice for us. I think we need to approach this in a brotherly spirit, regardless of who we support, whether it's the MHP, CHP or AK Party. So we have to take great care. People shouldn't be polarized. I hope for us to be united.
Birlik beraberlikle olmamızı.
Of course, this election is very important for Turkey's future. We are all proud in that sense. We will see for our future for Turkey. Of course, it is different this time.
Neden önemli?
Why is it important? It's because I have lived in Berlin for 53 years and we have been in contact with Turkey since my childhood. We have family members. And besides that, I wish for people in Turkey to live like they do in Europe. After all, it's important for me that everyone can live in peace and democracy.
Yaşamalarını temin ediyorum.
The experience of Turkish citizens living in Germany has played heavily in motivating millions to keep a deep bond with their homeland. But what impact has their experience and the sheer size of the Turkish-German community had on relations between Berlin and Ankara? Unkauf is the managing director of a global trade firm that helps facilitate business between Germany and Türkiye. He said that good relations at all levels is important for both countries.
Regarding the relations between Turkey and Germany, I think that those relations are crucial in many ways. Turkish people in Germany are our largest minority. We have close economic ties in most relevant spheres. We have also excellent collaboration regarding regional and international issues. Turkey is an ally within the NATO, and the growth and the strengthening of those relations is very important for both countries. So I hope that independent from the result of the upcoming elections, that those relations will further be strengthened through new initiatives, through interactions on all relevant levels, from the governments to business diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, humanitarian exchanges, because Turkey and Germany are driving powers within Europe, and Turkey is a regional power and also a global player, and that needs to be kept in mind when we try to understand those relations.
So Urs, we know that you are deeply connected with the Turkish community in Germany. We see that the voter turnout seems to have risen when compared to the previous elections here in Germany. Why is this election is different this time, and why do you think Turkish people are more eager to vote?
I think a high turnover of voters is first of all a good result, and independent from the final results, which political forces win and which loses, that's already a success for the election process. So this election is important because it will be a milestone in the further relation and the further development of the relations between Turkey and the European Union, also for the relations with Germany. So we hope that however the result may look like, that strong business and cultural relations will be continued, will be intensified wherever possible. And Turkey is an inevitable partner for us in many fields. Turkish minority also is very active. We have Turkish businessmen working here in Germany in the third or fourth generation. So that is also a strong asset for the bilateral relation, and we always appreciate valuable contributions from this context.
All right, Urs, thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.
Thank you very much.
But strong business ties haven't been the main factor in pushing Turkish Germans to maintain a deep connection to their homeland. Instead, for many, it has been due to feelings of alienation from German society. The rise of Islamophobia across the continent has also pushed them to follow political developments when it comes to protecting Muslims. To get a better understanding of what impact the rising tide of xenophobia has had on the Turkish-German experience, I spoke with Yuksel Aslan, who is an advisory to the president of the Berlin Turkish community. He told me why so many Turkish Germans take an active part in elections far from their homeland. So over the past several years, Europe has seen a rise in Islamophobia as well as xenophobia. But how prevalent is Islamophobia here in Germany?
İslamofobya Almanya'da diğer milletlere nazaran biraz daha aktüel ve yaygın duruma geldi. Özellikle bu Legida, Pegida, Kagida gibi kuruluşlar Doğu eyaletten başlayıp o da bir handikaptır yani şeydir, ikilemdir. Oralarda halbuki yabancı nüfus ve Müslüman daha az. Biraz daha hızlı oldu Avrupa'da bunun yayılması. Ve bu Suriye Savaşı'yla zirve yaptı ama şu anda son dönemlerde bir gerileme var. Ama tartışma halk arasında ve siyasiler arasında devam ediyor. Henüz bir çözüme ulaştırılmış değil. Bu zaman zaman dünyadaki siyasi konjektüre, eğilimlere ve savaşlara göre artıyor ve düşüş gösteriyor. Yani göçler hareketlendikçe İslamofobya da artış gösteriyor. Göçlerde bir düşüş olduğunda İslamofobiyada da bir azalış oluyor. Şu anda Almanya'nın bir göçle ilgili bundan 2-3 sene öncesi gibi bir göç dalgası yok. Dolayısıyla Suriye savaşları hızını kesmiş durumda. İslamofobya ile ilgili bir azalma kamuoyunda gözükse bile ama biraz önce de söylemiş olduğumuz gibi yani Müslümanların Almanya'da bürokratik ve siyasi hayata katılımları arttıkça bu İslamofobya endişesi de yani Almanya'nın Müslümanlaşma endişesi de Almanlarda zuhur ediyor yani ortaya çıkıyor.
So the voter turnout among Turkish citizens in Germany is higher than the past elections. What do you think the reason is?
Şimdi Almanya'daki Türklerin Türkiye'deki seçimlere odaklanması ve büyük oranda katılımlarını sağlamalarının birçok nedeni var. Bunların başında da öncelikle bütün siyasi partiler seçmenlerini aktif etmeyi başardılar. Yani seçime yönlendiriyorlar ve seçime gidemeyenleri taşıyan arabalar, servisler de kurdular. Yani sizi seçime Türkiye'de işte partimizde iktidara taşıyoruz diye sloganlar yapıyorlar. Bunun yanında tabii Avrupa'daki Türkler son zamanlardaki Türkiye'deki gerek iktidarın veya diğer muhalefetin girişimlerinden veya siyasi olarak da etkilendiler. Yani Türkiye'deki bir hukuki değişiklik Avrupa'daki Türklerin de emeklilik olsun, gümrük eşyaları olsun, Türkiye'deki araç kullanma süreleri olsun, askerlik, nüfus, pasaport gibi konuların da yakinen ilgilendirdiği için her seçmen kendi partisinden bir talebi oluyor ve bu talebi dile getirdiği için oradaki oylara katılabiliyor. Tabii bir de buradaki insanımızın Almanya'daki seçimlere de bu kadar özverili katılmasını beklerdik ama maalesef o olmuyor. Orada da Almanların Türkleri siyaseten de dışlamaları var. Birçok siyasi partide özellikle Almanya'daki muhafazakar kesimin adayları yok. Dolayısıyla onlar kendileri benimseyemiyorlar buradaki seçimleri. Ama Türkiye'deki seçimleri benimseyebiliyorlar. O sebepten dolayı da Türkiye'deki seçimlere yoğun ilgi gösteriyorlar. Şu anda bugün itibariyle 2018'deki oy verme rakamlarını katlamış durumdalar.
So are young people hopeful that Germany will one day overcome Islamophobia?
Bu konuda çalışmalar yapılıyor. Değişik dernekler vasıtasıyla ve Alman kurumlarının destekleriyle buradaki gençler İslamofobinin konusunda yani Almanya için bir gerçekçilik oluşturmadığını anlatmak için gerek kamuoyunda gerek siyasiler nezdinde gerekse ticari kurum ve kuruluşlar nezdinde girişimlerde bulunuyorlar. Biz onlardan ümitliyiz. Gençlerimiz onlardan ümitli. Dolayısıyla ne kadar Türkiye'ye ilgi gösterseler de daha fazla genç burada vatan kabul ediyor. Burada yaşamayı arzu ediyor. Dolayısıyla bir gün burada İslamofobinin ve bu ayrımcılığın kalkacağını umut ediyor ve o konuda yaşıyorlar ve çalışıyorlar.
All right, thank you very much. One person who is working to achieve that dream of eliminating xenophobia and discrimination is Betul Zehra Bayrak. A third-generation Turkish German, Betul is also an activist and has directly experienced firsthand how difficult it can be to be fully accepted as German. So Betul, what's the mood among the Turkish citizens before elections in Turkey on May the 14th?
Yeah, the Turkish diaspora is closely following the upcoming Turkish elections with a keen interest. We, as the German Turks, we are aware of the far-reaching implications of the election results for Turkey's political, economic, and social landscape. And of course, we are using social media and other digital platforms to foster an open dialogue and, the most important, to make sure that the voices of German Turks are also heard in the main electoral process.
So over the past several years, Islamophobia and xenophobia have risen across Europe and also in Germany. What's your take on that, and how are you fighting with this trend?
Islamophobia and racism manifest in different ways, ranging from microaggressions and subtle prejudices to overt acts of hostility and even violence. And you can see this discriminatory attitudes also in political manners when some individuals feel marginalized by the rising far right and its speeches, and it leads to it exacerbate existing societal divisions and polarize the public opinion. And it's important to address this issue by the current leading politicians and society at large, also to promote more inclusivity, tolerance, and mutual understanding. And we, as voters, we must remain vigilant of the candidates' political positions and support those who actively work to counteract discrimination and foster social cohesion. You can see it when the rising right-wing party AfD entered the parliament of the Federal Republic of Germany and also the Berlin Senate. There are political aspects, but also social, because less and less it's accepted that you hear racistical voices among the center of the German society. And this, of course, leads to resignation of minorities, including German Turks. They don't feel really accepted as fully and equally a German citizen, and they are facing a lot of discrimination, and they have to confront a lot of prejudices. And no matter what force they put in, they see I'm rejected in a way, and there are still some prejudices towards the younger ones.
But what should be their roadmap to fight against Islamophobia and xenophobia? Do you think there is enough will to fight this by the German government or by German authorities? How do you see the situation?
Well, especially young German Turks are not feel represented enough in the political spectrum, but also in various fields of life, in the politics, of course, in academic arts and sports, and of course the media is producing more conservative and radical aspect of Islam or Muslims, including German Turks, but the majority of them are moderate Muslims, and they have a huge, great sense of identification with Germany and German society, and actually they feel a part of it, but it's not also always accepted of the German society.
So are you hopeful about the future?
Yes, of course, indeed. There is a huge potential among the young German Turks. They are excelling in various fields. Many of the second and third generation German Turks, they have taken advantage of their bilingual proficiency and their bicultural backgrounds, and created successful businesses and promote socially ties between Germany and Turkey, and there is a huge potential.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. The polls have closed for Turkish citizens living overseas, and in just a few days, their counterparts back in Türkiye will cast their vote for the next president and parliament. Making up a sizable portion of Turkiye's overall eligible voters, those living abroad still feel strong ties to their homeland and want to participate in its future. Thanks for joining me for this Straight Talk special from Berlin. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.